what's the other argument they'll throw out? Well, they'll say, oh, God, that the God of the Old Testament's different. No, but the Bible actually says in Malachi, right before you get into the New Testament, it says, I'm the Lord your God and I do not change. And also says, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. I am the same. So it's the same God, same personality, same principles, same values and everything like that. Like very psychotic, right? And then God also takes the free will of the Pharaoh in Egypt. So, and the Israelites are enslaved in Egypt, and God tells Moses to go tell the Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go free. And it says that God hardened his heart so that he would not let them go. And then the 7 plagues of Egypt, you go watch the movie The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. It has the plagues of Egypt. So it was locusts, it was boils, and they killed all the firstborn children in Egypt. So God murdered children because Pharaoh wouldn't let them go, but God took his free will to make them. And it said to make him not let the children of Israel go. And then if you ask a Christian that, they'll say, oh, that's for God to show his power. I'm like, that's super evil. That's like bullying, right? Like that's way and beyond. And then, so that's my problem with it. So how is it affecting our society? Well, I look at our justice system, and you look at the judge wearing their black robe and everything like that and swearing on the Bible, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And like we've heard about people being sent to prison for crimes they didn't do, or they get sent to prison and they become worse off than they were before, right? So it affects our justice system, because the justice of God is you do what I want, and if you don't do what I want, I'm going to severely punish you. So we have these prisons, these concrete cells. Like I'm out here and I'm like, this just makes me feel good just being out here in my freedom. And then it's like it's so harmful to a person, right? So they go in there a thief and they come out a murderer, right? And there's like sexual abuse and stuff in there and all this. It's like hell, right? So we're making hell on earth. So this leads me to another thing. And I know I'm just kind of spitballing and it's just kind of like off the top of my head, but these are the problems I have with it, right? And so there's another thing that it affects. So I look at my life on a personal level and I say, what do I want for me personally, right? And I say, oh, I want to, be healthier. I want to get stronger. I want to be better at my job. I look at other things like, oh, I want to have a good relationship with a woman long term. I want to have like good friends. I want to I have all these goals and stuff for my life. And then I have like goals for like, hey, my community, like I want to be around people kind of doing the same thing as me, pursuing the same goals and stuff like that. And us encouraging each other, collaborating. I look at my nation and I say, I want the Republicans and the Democrats to stop arguing, and I want us to have common ground and all succeed and grow together. I want to see I feel like I have to spend all this extra money to get organic food. I'd like this to solve that problem. Like over in Europe, like in Germany, they're like, we just have beef. The dude's like, we just have beef. We don't have to say organic, grass-fed like beef. We just have beef. Like these foods, our food is poison, and it's the love of money, right? So it's like this. I put money first, just so I can mass produce more food and make more money and sell it for cheaper, instead of doing extra steps to make sure the food isn't, eaten up by bugs or whatever they do for their organic stuff. And I had some ideas for that, but so like improving our food, I'd like to see us have like our food be more affordable. I'd like to see fuel more affordable. I'd like to see alternate sources of energy, right? Like come out, and I'd like to see us get away from this this corporate I could go on and on, right? Like this 40-hour work week. We're overworked and underpaid, and I want to be able to have more time for my own personal life. I'm like, I want to have more time to work on creative things, and I have so many things I want to do and see and experience, and it's like, man, like I gotta schedule it out so much and cross my PTO and everything like that. So anyway, so those are just some things, right? Just spitballing there, a couple things I see on earth for my nation, and then for all the nations of the earth to be more prosperous and peace, and then moving towards like evolution. And I see that as intelligence, wisdom, and what's my other one? And maturity, right? It's like us to mature as a human race. I want to see that happen. And that dissolves like suffering and stuff like that. Like and sometimes I'm starting to even think to myself, like, what is even healing, and like where is even healing come into play in this anymore? Because I feel like it's just handling my problems, right, in my own life. But so coming back to Christianity, what's their intentions for the earth? Like, what's their intentions for the country? Well, go read the book of Revelation. It'll tell you right in there. So God's going to turn all the waters, all this water here. I just jumped in there. It felt really great. God's going to turn all this to blood. I was just down in Mexico and we're on a boat and there's these beautiful dolphins like jumping out of the water and stuff in the sunset. God's going to kill all the dolphins and the whales and all the fish and everything, and all the turtles and the frogs are all going to die. And all these plagues, going to release like the 7 plagues again on everybody. And then he's going to destroy earth and fire. So he's promised to destroy earth and fire. And then after that, he's going to make another earth. So that's the intention of the Christians. So what's their intention for the future of the human beings of planet Earth? Death, destruction, and utter horror, right? Utter horror. And God already got it wrong the first time, because it says in the Bible he destroyed the earth with a flood. And I'm up here in Sedona, and there's very high places, and there's fish fossils and stuff, and you can see evidence that all this was underwater. So a great flood did happen. Mix the truth with the lie becomes stronger. So they are able to use this and say, oh, see, the earth was covered in a great flood. See, God did that. So he takes credit for that, and then they use it as fear. It's all fear-based tactics with these people, with this religion, with this cult, with this demon-worshiping death cult. So that's their intention. And if you look at the back of the book as well, right before it ends, it says if you add anything to this book, God will add the 7 plagues of Egypt onto you. And it says if you take away from this book any of the information in here, God will take your name out of the Lamb's book of life. And that pretty much means you'll go to hell if you take anything out. So if you take out something in there that's like, hey, listen, like this doesn't really apply to us today, we're going to take this out. Okay, we're going to add something in here about discipline. It's really good for someone's life. So let's add something in there about discipline. And then that's against the rules, right? So you can't edit the book. Christians already have. And then they'll also say, oh, well, that's a wrong translation, or you got to read the original Hebrew version. They always like backpedal and sidestep and all over the place. I'm like, so whoever wrote this version of the book, then they're going to hell, and they should have the 7 plagues added on them too, because they've altered the book. And they're like, and then of course they just keep going, right? They just keep making stuff up. And then of course they'll come to some of their stuff. Oh, you just have to have faith, or I'm going to go pray for you. Oh, you'll see. You just need to give it another shot, or stuff like that. They'll say stuff. So there's not much point in talking about it, right? And just like my other video says, it talks about this belief is like an addiction, right? So this is kind of the same thing for me. So this is kind of where I've come to it. If you have like a friend who is like, y'all need to have an intervention for him because he's drinking so much and he's breaking stuff and he's ruining parties and stuff. Like, you don't hate the person. That's your homie, right? But you hate the alcohol addiction, right? And you're seeing what it's doing to him. So it's like, I feel that same way towards like Christianity, towards Christians. I'm like, and the Bible says hate the sin, not the sinner. That means like you hate the addiction, you hate that, like what that substance is doing to someone, that belief, but you don't hate the person, right? Because there's a lot of good people who are Christians. There's people who I like are Christians. And so it's like, I can hate, and this is something I was trying to tell a Christian, they were getting upset and offended. And I was like, dude, I'm literally talking about your God, who apparently is trying to claim that he created us. He created all this, and he is a liar, and he's not real, right? And you've been mind controlled, just like this person's mind controlled by this alcohol. When they stop having alcohol, they start shaking and stuff like that, right? And Christians, they go to church to try and get high on Jesus. And they've even coming up to me and been like when I went back after I wasn't a Christian anymore, I don't know why I went back. I guess I was an idiot. Still can be an idiot. But the dude came up to me, he's like, hey, I'm just high on Jesus. And I was like, this is awkward. You know what I'm saying? Like, as someone who like struggles and has struggled worse, doing better, but struggled with like addiction to substances, right? I'm starting to realize the reason I'm doing them, and I'm starting to handle those issues now. And I'm like, hey, listen, like, I'm getting it handled anyway. It's great. And so they're addicted to it. So they're addicted to the story. They're addicted to, we don't know what happens to us after we die. We got a bunch of theories. I think there's some kind of existence continues for us. And I believe, like it says in Gladiator, what we do in life echoes in eternity. But I don't know 100%. And it's like they have to tell a story to make themselves feel better. To make themselves, oh, I get to go to Gold Magic City in the sky when I die, and I get a bunch of stuff, right? And it sounds similar, and it's very copies. It's literally duplicate of paganism. And they, so they celebrate all their holidays on pagan holidays, like Easter's a pagan holiday. Christmas is like a pagan holiday. So these are like pagan things. And they like do these little rituals and stuff. And like they literally have just stolen stuff from like paganism and stuff. And you look at our ancestors, like let's say like Viking ancestors, and they say kind of the same stuff. Like, oh, when you go to Valhalla, like you get all this stuff. But at least those guys, at least they were like hardcore and like would die in battle and stuff like that. I had kind of, I was like, man, I'd take like the Viking afterlife and stuff like over this, because all they say they're going to do in heaven is sing worship songs for all eternity. And that freaked me out as a little 5-6-year-old kid. That was freaking me out. I was like, for all eternity? And I was just thinking about sitting in church and how bored I would get in church, listening to all this music. And like, I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm gonna, like, it really stressed me out. And that's how they got me, right? So then I remember I was like scared of dying, and I was like, why am I scared of dying? Now I realized, as I reflected on it, I was like, they created the anxiety in me as a kid, right? Like they created that anxiety in me. So this is why I'm no longer a Christian. And how did that happen? You know,